Throughout the long and storied history of NASCAR, there have been thousands of teams to enter and field a car. There are the legendary teams that have won championships, such as Richard Childress and Joe Gibbs Racing, and there are the quite dreadful teams that have skirted around at the back with barely enough funding to make it through the season with even a part-time schedule before fading into oblivion. And a team that matches all of the points of the latter category, and which seems to still be active despite not having started a race in over a year, and one which has appeared to fade out of the series it entered about as quietly as it joined in. This team is NY Racing. Now, if you enjoyed the video so far, like it. If you like the content I put out, consider subscribing, as it helps grow the channel. With all necessities aside, back to the video. NY Racing was started by businessman Jonathan Cohen in 2009, initially called Team Extreme Motorsport, and made its first starts in NASCAR Nationwide Series that year, now called the NASCAR Xfinity Series. The team made 4 starts that year, with their driver being Chase Dawson, getting, less than favorable results. For their first race that year at the 17th race of the 2009 Nationwide Series season at a July Daytona round, in which Austin started 35th, and he surprisingly led a lap, but then he crashed out on lap 76 after being caught out in the big one, recording a 37th place finish. The team made their second ever start at the 20th round of the season at Indianapolis Raceway Park. The team got their first ever finish, albeit 32nd, and over 20 laps down. For the 24th round of the season at Bristol, Austin crashed out after 51 laps, taking out Kyle Busch as well in the process. And for the team's last start of the season, Austin finished 29th, 9 laps down. For the rest of the 2009 season, Josh Wise drove for the team, which he retired from an electrical issue after 23 laps at Richmond, retired due to another electrical issue at Texas after 134 laps, and for the penultimate race of the season, Wise retired after 65 laps with an oil issue. The 2009 season was quite anonymous for Extreme Motorsports, in which they ran around at the back of the grid, only finishing 2 races out of the 7 they entered. And to top off all of this, the team shut down at the end of the season when their sponsors for all of this, Macy's and Cavi, left the team, pulling their funding, causing it to shut down. And to this date, NY Racing has never returned to the series since. The team was dormant for the next few years, but then surprisingly popped up again for the 2012 Cup Series season, getting a sponsorship from No Label Watches, in which they fielded a car for David Rudiman at the penultimate round of the year at Phoenix, in which he retired after 28 laps due to a vibration in the car. This is quite the dreadful start for a new team in the Cup Series, but Team Extreme was small, and they got some good practice working on and fielding the Cup cars, so over 2013, the team attempted to run a part-time season in the Cup Series, with the driver being Scott Riggs, and the results were about as horrible as you might have expected. They made their first start of the year at the second round of the season in Phoenix, in which Riggs finished 42nd, retiring after 28 laps due to a brake issue, only escaping last place because of Michael McDowell. I made a video on which you should totally watch. The next races that Extreme Motorsport attempted were just as fruitless as their Phoenix start, failing to qualify for 3 out of the 8 races that they entered that year, and they got all finishes the rest of the year outside the top 40, which they either retired early in the race or started parked, in order to collect the prize money without tearing up any equipment. The team shut down halfway through the season due to lack of money from poor sponsorship, where they recouped to try and start some more races on a part-time schedule for the next year in 2014, in which they did, with the driver being JJ Yeley. They performed about as well as your typical backmarker in the first few races that they attempted to qualify for, withdrawing and failing to qualify for the first 4 races that they entered. The team managed to enter the first race of their season at Richmond, only due to the purchase of the owner points of the number 30 team of Swan Racing, giving them a spot in the race, in which their engine blew at lap 384 while running quite a few laps down, finishing 40th. They entered a few more races that season with sponsorship from Phoenix Warehouse, getting a best finish of 34th at Sonoma, but then Yeley departed for greener pastures, and so for the final 2 races that the team attempted that year at Dover and Martinsville, they changed their name to Team Extreme Motorsports and recruited Timmy Hill to drive, gaining their typical results of last and second to last, in which they retired due to mechanical issues both times. Despite them getting their best ever result of 34th, the year was quite horrendous for the team, as they didn't even start half of the race that they entered, earning little prize money, and so there wasn't much improvement for the next year in 2015. However, for the first race of the season at the Daytona 500, fortunes improved, with the team gained sponsorship from Golden Corral and recording the first ever lead lap finish with 32nd. This, however, was a false dawn, as with Travis Grapple at the wheel for Atlanta, the team ran into an 18-carat run of bad luck when the team's hauler was actually stolen from the parking lot of the hotel they were staying at. They were able to recover the truck and the race car, but the trailer that the car was in and a bunch of spare parts remained unrecovered. The team withdrew from the race in Atlanta for obvious reasons, and ran into even more bad luck with owner Jonathan Cohen facing arrest for not issuing an information subpoena and failing to qualify for the next few races, and that they withdrew from the Martinsville race for stated reasons to prepare for the next race in Texas, but they never resurfaced when the next race came and appeared to disappear into oblivion. For the 2018 season, Extreme Motorsports surprisingly resurfaced from their disappearance with a new name, NY Racing, to field a car for the Coca-Cola 600 that year, with Steakhouse lead sponsorship and JJ Yeley as their driver, returning to the team after a 4-year absence. In that race, he retired in lap 191 with mechanical issues. The team made 9 more starts that year in partnership with fellow perennial backmarkers Premium Motorsport and BK Racing, gaining a best result at 20th of Pocono. NY Racing's best result to date. The 2018 season for NY Racing was a ray of hope in the vastly of mediocre results, mostly due to the partnership with more established teams, and so for 2019, NY planned to run a few more races that year with the same sponsor and driver, but due to one of their partners, BK Racing, being merged into Front Row Motorsports, they never attempted the race, and so, like a few times prior, NY Racing faded into oblivion, like the masses of other short-lived backmarker teams. But they emerged in December of 2020, making an announcement that they would attempt some races for the 2021 season, but that promise never materialized, and the team remained dormant. But then, for a third time, NY Racing emerged from their years-long slumber to grace the rear of the NASCAR field with their presence. They made their first starts in 4 years, with NASCAR veteran Greg Biffle at the wheel, who was making his first start in 6 years for the 2022 season, in which they attained sponsorship with various universities for the races that they would attempt. They made their first start of the year at the Daytona 500, which Biffle finished 36th, 65 laps down. The team made 4 more starts that year, still with Greg Biffle, which they got a best finish of 20th at Atlanta, tying their best ever finish as a team. But for the rest of the races, Biffle got finishes outside the top 30, retiring due to various mechanical issues. Ever since the last finish the team has made at the 2022 Gago 500, the team has appeared to have disappeared yet again, with no information if they'll be making any starts in the 2023 season or beyond. And looking at their social media doesn't yield any new information, with their last Instagram post being from the 2022 Talladega race, and the last tweet being from January 2nd of 2023, just showing a bunch of prayer emojis, in which I have no idea what that means, and so there is no information if they will make a start in NASCAR ever again. For the question, what happened to them, the answer is, I don't know. I know, anticlimactic, but no one outside of the owner, John Cohen, the team personnel know, and I'd rather not harass any of these people, that they have their own lives, and I'd rather not bother. In conclusion, Team Extreme/NY Racing were just one of the many backmarker teams to exist and not do much else in the back of the NASCAR field in the 2010s, but their sheer tenacity to cling to life after it appeared to shut down makes them special, and hopefully they can come back from their latest absence to get back to the grid in the future, and hopefully achieve greater success than the last row at which they have been stuck for over 10 years. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, press the like button. If you like the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.